everybody, today we're talking about Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham, both the book and the new animated movie. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. My name is Brent as always, and I'm here talking about more comic books and comic book media. This is Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham. Now, this is a new trade paperback that just came out as a reprint, I believe, and now it's got this nice little non-sticker on here. It says, new DC animated movie. So you can read the book, you can watch the movie. We are here in this video going to talk about both because I have never read this before. So, originally, I was looking at this movie coming out thinking like, well, maybe I should read the book before. And I was like, you know what? I've read lots of the other stuff that they've turned into movies, at least the ones that were not original. Why don't I forego reading the book, watch the movie first, and then read it? Because I think I did have it on my iPad. And then I had started to read it on my iPad a long time ago, and I couldn't get into the first issue because I was in this ice sequence and didn't really know what the hell was going on. So I put the book down, never came back to it. So by the time the movie's coming out, I'm like, all right, let me dig into this a little bit. So I sat down and I watched the film. It's a pretty good adaptation, having read the book afterwards. And also, I watched the movie a second time after I read the book so that I could get like a fuller experience or more insight on the adaptation. So if this is your favorite Batman story, I should be able to give you at least a decent opinion of how the adaptation went. If you've never read the book or never seen the movie, I can say that I kind of like the movie a little bit better in some things, and I like the book a little bit better in some things. Now, honestly, as a comics guy, like reading the book or, reading a book for a movie, whether it's a comic book or a novel or whatever, I think is always going to be a little bit better. There are things that worked here way better than I thought they did in the book, that I think they handled it. Maybe it's just the comic book format. So Batman, Doom that came to Gotham, came out, I think, in like the early 2000s. It's written by Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame, who we're covering here on the channel. We're like in the middle of his Hellboy run. We're going to get back to it in a little bit. Richard Pace was also a co-writer here, and he was, in the back, it says he was originally supposed to draw the book, but fell behind or something came up, so they hired another artist, Troy Nixie, to be the penciler, inks by Dennis Janke. Dave Stewart is the colorist. Just like if you've read any other Hellboy book, you've kind of seen his stuff. Phenomenal colors. Dave Stewart, phenomenal. Anyway, the style here is a little Mignola-ish. Like, I've never read anything else by Troy Nixie that I can recall. But it's got the kind of like old school BPRD, Hellboy-ish. Like if Troy Nixie went to go work on a Hellboy book after this, I would not be surprised. If he was made known to Mike Mignola and the DC editors because he was working on another Dark Horse indie book that was like Hellboy, I would not be surprised. He's kind of got this same stylistic choice that Guy Davis has on the BPRD books, if that makes any sense. So if you've seen Guy Davis art, you can get the kind of feeling that Troy Nixie has, although I think, not having read a ton of the BPRD stuff at all, I think Troy Nixie feels like a little bit more detailed. He's going into, the backgrounds are more detailed. Not shadowing, that might be the inker. The details are all more present. It's very lush, very, very illustrative, while still retaining, a certain style. Like, it's almost as if you mixed Mignola, Paul Pope, and Guy Davis in a blender, and that's kind of what you get here in Troy Nixie. So, what is Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham, Brent? Well, let me tell you. This is a story set in the 1920s, I believe, in Gotham City, so it's not really the same thing as Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Obviously, that took place in the 1800s with Jack the Ripper. Also, the style is a little bit different, but it's the same type of vibe. This old world Batman, no technology, just wits, fists, and detective work. So that is basically what the Doom that came to Gotham is. So if you enjoy Gotham by Gaslight as a film or as a comic book, you will probably enjoy Doom That Came to Gotham as a film or a comic book. I gotta say, I did enjoy both, and I think the Doom That Came to Gotham as an animated movie is one of the better ones to come out in recent years. Like, I don't even think I reviewed the Green Lantern one because it kind of put me to sleep a little bit. And this animated movie does not take place in the Tomorrowverse or whatever they want to call it. It stands on its own. The animation style is a little bit better than that Tomorrowverse animated style. So I do quite like the animated film. The basic idea is your basic Mignola story, I guess you would say. If you're reading Hellboy along with me or have read Hellboy before, it's the same type of idea. Hey, there's a hero, there's a evil Cthulhu type villain trying to invade the Earth, and only our hero can stop it because of a prophecy. Same thing here in the Doom That Came to Gotham with Batman. There's a prophecy, only Batman can stop the many tentacled monster from coming and becoming Gotham's doom and the doom for the world. What's the most fun about this story in the comic and in the animated movie is how they use the characters of Batman's Rogues Gallery differently. You have Killer Croc, you have Etrigan, you have Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and it's not to say that everybody gets their own quick spin in the Victorian or Roaring Twenties multiverse. It's more like we're going to find a character to use here because we need a character to do this thing, and we're going to find a Batman villain to graft it onto and use that villain in a fun way, in a cool way, and maybe give them a quick origin story that makes them recognizable as a villain that you might recognize, but in the same way they're not necessarily doing villainous things. Like Poison Ivy here. Not really named Poison Ivy, it's just a monster of plants that comes out of the things going on in this book that then transforms into a red-headed woman, right? And there's an infection when she touches somebody, and they're like, is it Poison Ivy? I don't know. And then instantly your brain, when they see a red-headed woman in plant form, kind of goes, click, Poison Ivy. The thing they do with Harvey Dent here as Two-Face is kind of neat. Harvey Dent's running for mayor, not really involved in the storyline that much, but he gets something that turns him into the Two-Face character, except he's kind of like mutated for the purpose of the story. You know what I mean? So that's fun. Killer Croc in here is fun. They don't really play with Man-Bat too much, but that is kind of here. What I wish they had played more with the story here in the comic book and in the movie is this idea of the ancient Waynes, the ancient Cobblepots, kind of selling their souls to the devil or gaining these powers that they gained, that sort of thing. It's only mentioned a little bit here. It's not necessarily explored, but it is a fun thing to anchor this story on and give reasons for it. You got Ra's al Ghul in here. He's kind of the main villain. You got Talia in here. You have Cobblepot as the Penguin in the first couple of pages. You got a version of Mr. Freeze, and you've got a version of the three Robins, Dick, Jason, and Tim in the comic book. Now, the movie kind of elaborates on some things about the book that I really enjoyed. You got Green Arrow in the movie, who's, I think, he's in here a little bit. He's a better character in the film, I think, because they're able to display his drunkenness in a better way than the book does, just because you can do more in animation with a person being drunk, and also the history behind his family, that sort of stuff is a lot more fun in the movie than it is here. He kind of dresses up a little bit as like almost a crusader, and that scene is way better presented in the movie than it is in the book. So I had a lot more fun there. Another fun thing they do in the film that I did enjoy is that the idea is that Bruce is like out for 20 years traveling the world via a ship, right? So he collects wards. Like that's where Dick, Jason, and Tim came from in the book. In the movie, they're a little bit more realistic with it, right? Like in here, it's a bunch of white kids. And in the film, it's, Dick is a white guy. The kid that's like an analog for Jason, he has a different name. He's of Indian descent. The person that is an analog for Tim, the youngest Robin, so to speak, is a girl. So she's more like Cassandra Cain than she is Tim Drake. So that's kind of fun, and just a little bit more twist. Like it's more of a throwback to other heroes in the Bat family than it is just like, all right, let's give them all the Robins and that kind of stuff. So I did enjoy that as well. They do a little bit more with that Tim Cassandra character in the film. She has a little bit more of a point of view and goes on some more adventures and gets into a little bit more trouble than that same character does in the book, so that's fun. All in all, I think it's a really solid story, and I'm surprised it never comes up. You know what I mean? I feel like this, in any Batman top 10, I've never seen The Doom That Came to Gotham pop up. But I feel like this animated movie sparked my interest in the book, made me appreciate it and read it, and I think it's a really good book, and honestly, it's probably one of the better adaptations that they've had in a long time. I mean, I kind of dissed the Long Halloween that they did more recently, because it just felt like it was too long, too drawn out, and they changed too many things. This movie adaptation is pretty faithful. If you're a fan of the book, you're going to be a fan of this adaptation. I feel like they did a good job. The voices were good. I didn't have any complaints, although I didn't recognize anybody's voice, so I guess a plus and a minus there. A plus that nobody stood out. That was like, this person doesn't fit. And a minus maybe that they didn't get a super recognizable voice. So go with that as you will. But all in all, I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the movie. I would recommend, if you're a fan of either of them, figure out which one you want to try first. If you like the DC animated movies, if you like cartoons, try it out. It's probably cheaper to rent for $6 than it is to go track down a copy of this book. But at the same time, they did just reprint this book with this new sticker saying animated movie. So it's probably also a little bit easier to find than it was a year ago. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with the book and the film. The Batman Doom That Came to Gotham, I really enjoyed both. So hopefully, what would be fun is if we got a Batman black and white statue at another Mike Mignola cover here. I've already got 2 from Gotham by Gaslight and the original one. It would be fun to have a third because they seem to knock it out of the park with those ones. So if this brings more attention to that version of Batman and that kind of style, great. If they want to do a Troy Nixie version based off Batman inside the book, even awesomer. Lord knows we need a Paul Pope Batman Year 100 statue anyway. I'll take a Doom That Came to Gotham Troy Nixie statue as well. So honestly, I'm pretty surprised I liked both of these as much as I did. I think the movie for me took 2 times to watch it to really enjoy it and appreciate it. The first time I watched it, honestly, I think I was a little bit tired and I fell asleep. So I missed some things, but reading the book, going back and watching the movie, I can appreciate it more. I can understand the version of the adaptation they were doing and that sort of thing. So all in all, it's a great book, a great movie. I would recommend it both to anybody interested in watching them. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below what you think of Batman The Doom That Came to Gotham. It's a mouthful. The movie or the book in the comments below, and I will chat with you there. We'll see you next time in the Funny Pages.